of your love life. Here with the secrets to dating and getting what you want. Please welcome certified sexologist and intimacy expert, Shannon Boodram. So do you. So you are helping people to fall in love, and I think that this is lovely. You're helping women to go out there, and it's women. I mean, you didn't do the experiment with men, right?
Just women, yes.
Just women. And
just
it's
us girls.
Just us girls. There's a few people in the audience that are very into what you have to say for this segment, okay? Dating is tough. I hear this from my friends who are single and they're out there looking for, you know, the significant one, and online dating has really changed the game. So let's first sort of show the lay of the land. When it comes to online dating, what are we up against as women?
Yeah, I think that this book really speaks to the massive educational flaw that happened where we don't learn emotional intelligence in school. You know, sex education is one thing, but what about intimacy education? What happens when your best friend plays with someone else in the schoolyard? How are you managing those emotions? And so this is really about getting back to that emotional intelligent version of yourself so you can enjoy love, you can enjoy dating, enjoy the process of it.
Okay, so there's 5 women. It started with 6. One, when you read the book, you'll see she was not ready for this jelly.
Yeah.
She wasn't ready for the challenge. There's 5 women, and you walk them through a process, and you went through a very sort of excruciating time picking out who the women were going to be, because how many applicants did you have?
About 300, yeah.
Oh, you narrowed it down to 5?
Yes.
And these were women. What did they need to have? What did you need to see in them?
Yeah, there was 3 things I was looking for, and so one of my favorite books on dating is The Science of Happily Ever After, and it says you need 3 wishes before you start looking. Just like when you're looking for a job, you gotta have at least 3 criteria. I think 5, because when you put the work in, give yourself some extra wishes.
Totally.
But nonetheless, the 3 that I was is number 1, they had to live close, because I wanted it to be not a digital experience, a face-to-face, because let's be honest, it's still a really important part of connecting, even though digital's great, there's nothing that beats this. Number 2, they had to have their stuff in order. I wasn't going to ask a woman who didn't have a job or who was struggling with a divorce to devote herself to dating for 6 months of the year. It just wouldn't be fair of me. And then finally, they had to work well with others, because I wasn't trying to do Real Housewives of my apartment. You know, I wanted it to be about the process and the connection, not the drama with the women.
How long did the whole process take with these women?
All right, can I admit something to you?
Admit it.
When I first started this book, I called it, I was like, 6 weeks to being a masterful connector. Girl, 1 year later, it was so much work. I took for granted I've been in this space for 13 years.
Yes.
So even the muscle memory of learning new tips is in me. And so if I hear something new, I can pick it up quicker because of the years I put in. But for this group, it took them 10 times to hear the same thing before it really hit for them. So my arrogance would have said 6 weeks. I would say it could be 13 years, which is the space I'm in.
Yes. So here's the thing that's so surprising, and maybe not surprising for any of the scientists out there. These women had to go through a full-fledged examination of self. Like, you became a therapist.
Yes.
Tell me about the work they had to put into knowing who they are before they could actually make themselves available to attract someone else.
I do this activity a lot where I go into a group and I say, describe to the person beside you how you like your coffee or tea made. People can say that really specific, 180 degrees, this size cup, this kind of milk. But then you ask them to describe themselves or their intimate selves. And now it's vague. It's like, I like Cheetos, I'm fun, sometimes my dog likes me, and we don't get the language necessary to really understand and define ourselves. And if you can't do that, how will you know who you're supposed to match with?
I learned that I'm an ambivert.
Yes, me too.
Is that how you say it, ambivert?
Yes.
So I'm not an extrovert, I'm not an introvert, I'm somewhere in between. So I'll put all of my energy into the show and I'll go home and be in a coma.
Yes, that makes sense. You need introversion to perform extroversion.
Yes. So that's very interesting, because I was, you know, doing a little bit of the work. So this is actually based on a scientific method, which I think is very sciencey. You were saying you got it from your grade 6 science books, but it's very sciencey. So there's 5 steps. Do you know the steps off by heart, or do you want to? Okay, of course you do. You've been living with this book.
Listen, I told you 1 year, okay?
1 year.
Not 6 weeks, a year.
Step 1
is know. You've got to know yourself inside and out. And knowing yourself also means getting advanced feedback from others, which can be uncomfortable. But you got to really know your strengths, your weaknesses, and once you know, then you know what needs to change.
Before you go to part 2, I want to mention that she actually made these women reach out to their ex-boyfriends, guys. Reach out to the ex-boyfriends, and I actually thought about doing that part of the workshop to hear all of the things, and they're going to say good things and they're going to say bad things. Yes. Right? But it's good to reach out and figure out what have you been putting out there?
Exactly.
You need to know that too.
What is it like to love me?
Yes.
A mirror can't see itself.
That's
and
right.
I'm married. I also did that exercise, and I heard some not so flattering things about myself.
Right.
But a lot of it, thankfully I knew because my partnership is honest. But it was also a good aha moment to say, you're not as perfect as you think, which is great news, because as long as you can change your output, you can change the outcome.
Absolutely. Okay, so sorry, step 2.
Step 2 is change, and that's the hard part. You got to be like, okay, maybe those ballet flats that kind of smell funky at 3 p.m. aren't doing me the best. Maybe it's changing my style. Also changing some of my, it's called the source fracture. So what happened is sometime in our life, something happened. Maybe someone called you ugly or stupid, and you began to believe that. And you created this persona around this lie. And you got to change that and really reclaim your excellence, reclaim what's great about you, and start working forward to highlight your strengths. And so the change part can be fun. It can be a change of lipstick, but also really a change of self-perception.
Step 3?
Step 3 is to learn. So you got to fill yourself up with the best. And there are so many different ways to learn about dating. You can learn from a TV personality, because you're here all day long making fast connections with people, making them feel special. I could learn a ton from you. In the book, we had a self-defense instructor. We had a stripper who taught people. We had a body language coach. We had a marketing expert. And so I did some of the work in the book, but in your own life, start asking the person at Starbucks, how do you remember people's names?
Yes.
That's a really important tip.
That is. Step 4?
And step 4 is to practice.
Yes, that's the fun part.
It's the fun part, but people overlook it a lot, right?
Do they?
Because they're like, when I get in front of someone I like, I freeze up.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, what are you doing when you're in an Uber? What do you do when you're in an elevator, or when you're just around random people? If you're not practicing being the kind of person you want to be in low-risk environments, what chance do you have when the stakes are high? It's like asking a basketball player to dunk in a game if they've never done it in practice.
Yeah.
You got to do and exude those behaviors all day long, try out different things, so when it counts, it's second nature to you.
Really good. And finally,
Be it.
Be it. Do it all. Claim it, own it.
Yes.
Do all the things. And all 5 women successfully graduated from the Shannon Boodram School of Dating.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Amazing.
It wasn't looking that way for a while. It was getting tough, but pulled it through.
You did it.